such as Anima, Lamima, Mahima. He is beautifully situated and he is decorated with different buttons in sport hats. So I believe that mountain refers to local mountains because previous was discovery comes these four elements are situated on top of the local mountains. And they are responsible for maintaining the various planets in the universe. How they maintain, what is the responsibility, how they matter, those details are not revealed to us. But what is revealed to us is that they derive the strength and power of the Supreme God. That is why it helps the devotees the demigods, the elephants to be able to carry out the service of the Lord personal manifests. So we can see that whenever devotees uh, take a stride forward to serve in the mission of the Lord personally empowers them and the Lord personally blesses them. So here the Lord is personally empowering and the Lord is personally present uh, to empower them just because they are embarking on the spiritual mission of the because they're ready to embark on the spiritual mission. So this is the nature of the spiritual mission, how glorious is the spiritual mission. That one who is embarking on the spiritual mission, the Lord personally manifests, the Lord personally comes and empowers. And that is why there is no greater fortune in this world than to be able to get an opportunity to assist in the spiritual mission. So there is no easier way to get the association of the Lord. That's the point. There is no easier way to get the association. There is no easier way to get the blessing of the Supreme God. Only when one starts embarking, one makes himself available for the mission of the Lord. An insurmountable oceanic mercy is available to such people. Let's read further. Next 41. अकल्पमेवं प्रीशब्दत एष भगवान् विरचिता विविधलोकयन्त्र गोपीयते अर्थ. The various forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such as Narayan and Vishnu, are beautifully decorated with different weapons. The Lord exhibits those forms, blending all the varied planets created by His personal potency. Yogamaya. But in the Bhagavad Gita 4.6, Lord Krishna says, Sambhavami Atmamaya. I appear by my internal potency. The word Atmamaya refers to the Lord's personal potency, Yogamaya. After creating both the material world and the spiritual world through the Yogamaya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally maintains them by expanding himself in different categories of Vishnu, peace, and other demons. He maintains the material creation from the beginning to the end, and he personally maintains the spiritual. We can see the supreme responsible nature of the Supreme Personality. The Lord not only maintains the spiritual world, but here it is so clearly explained that the Lord maintains the material world. The living entities are different malfunctional units of the Supreme God. So if you have a position and it malfunctions, you may throw it off. The Supreme Lord still maintains trust. Although the material world is the most antagonistic, people are the most antagonistic to Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord still maintains most responsible, most responsible, most. Yal Nirvestas Aloka Parima Vyakya Palir Loka Loka Jala Tada Padastan Yogeshwara Udaharanti. My dear king, outside the Loka mountain is a tract of land which is known as Aloka Belt, which extends for the same breadth as the area within the mountain. In other words, 1 billion miles. 0.15 billion kilometers or 1 billion miles. Beyond Aloka Varsha is the destination of those who aspire for liberation from the material world. It is beyond the jurisdiction of the material modes of nature, therefore it is completely pure. God Krishna took Arjuna through this place to bring back the sons of Brahma. So 1 billion miles is area within local Loka, and then after that Aloka, that gives that's what gives the radius of the universe as 2 billion miles. Andamadya Suryo Suryo Bhava Abhumyo Yanatan Suryanda Bulanur Suryanda Bulanur Kotyasu Panchakshitani Kotyasu Panchakshitani. The sun is situated vertically in the middle of the universe, in the area between the Burloka and the Bhuvarloka, which is called Antarisha outer space. The distance between the sun and the circumference of the universe is 2540 yojanas, which is 2 billion miles. As a distance between the sun and the circumference of the universe, 2 billion miles. The sun is 4 billion miles away from us. This 2 billion miles is this. The word 40 means 10 million. Yojana means 8 miles. The diameter of the universe is 5040 yojana, which is 4 billion miles. So 2 billion is the radius. Therefore, the sun is in the middle of the universe. The distance between the sun and the edge of the universe is 2540 yojana, which is 2 billion miles. 2 billion from sun to the universe and 2 billion is the universe in radian. And it's हृदयण्ड एकस्मिन् यत् अभु ततो मालदण्ड इति व्यामदेशम् हिरण्यगर्भ इति यत् हिरण्यान्ध समुद्भवः The sun god is also known as Vairaja, the total material body for all the living entities. Because he entered this dull egg of the universe at the time of creation. He is also called Martanda. He is also known as Hiranyagarbha because he received his material body from Hiranyagarbha, not Brahma. The post of Lord Brahma is meant for highly elevated, spiritually advanced living entities. When such living beings are unavailable, Lord Vishnu, the supreme personality of Godhead, expands himself as Lord Brahma. This takes place very rarely. Consequently, there are two kinds of Brahmas. Sometimes Brahma is an ordinary living entity, other time Brahma is the supreme personality of God. The Brahma spoken of here is an ordinary living being. Whether Brahma is the supreme personality of Godhead or an ordinary living being, he is known as Vairagya Brahma and Hiranyagarbha Brahma. Therefore, the sun god is also accepted as Vairagya Brahma. We can see an important point from here that you see service is only given to a responsible and trustworthy devotee of the Lord. Unless we earn the trust of the acharyas, the devotees, tangible service will not be given to us. So the fact that seva is being given is a great privilege. Because even the opportunity to come and serve is rare. So here we can see that although there will be innumerable living entities, sometimes the Lord doesn't want anybody as Brahmani because nobody is qualified. So Lord looks at that. Krishna can do himself everything. So when does he entrust other devotees in service? Only when he sees qualification. Only when the Lord sees qualification. So by our dedication, we need to earn the trust of the devotees. Yes. Because unless you do that, you won't receive any good service. Unless that happens, the fixity in Krishna consciousness will not take place. Fixity in Krishna consciousness. That is the point. That's it. But 45. Surya Ishakam Swarmanita Swarga Pavargo Naraka Swarga Pavargo Dasam Kamsi the Sarvashama Okay. Sun God and the sun planets divide all the directions of the universe. It is only because of the presence of the sun that we can understand what is the sky, that we can understand what the sky, the higher planets, this world, and the lower planets. It is also only because of the sun that we can understand which places are for material enjoyment and which are for liberation, which are hellish and subterranean. In the material world, because of the presence of the sun, you can understand higher planets, lower planets, this world, sky. That is why Krishna is compared to the sun. Krishna is the sun of fire. So why? Because one knows Krishna, the person is able to discriminate between anything and everything. One who doesn't know Krishna, such a person is confused, completely confused. No discrimination power, discriminate people. Text 46. Ekatiriya Manushya Sarish 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 Kripa Saviruddha Sarva Jiva Nikayana Sarva Jiva Nikayana Surya Atma Lingeshwara Surya Atma Lingeshwara. All the living entities, including the demigods, human beings, animals, birds, insects, reptiles, creepers, trees, depend upon the heat and light. Even by the sun god from the sun planet. Furthermore, it is because of the sun's presence that all living entities can see, and therefore he is called Brihishvara, the personality of Godhead presiding over sight. In this regard, Sri Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, Surya Atma Atma Venu Pashyana. The actual life and soul of all the living entities within this universe is the sun. He is therefore Upasya, worshipable. We worship the sun god by chanting the Gayatri mantra Om Bhu Bhuvan Swaha Tat Savitu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya. Surya is the life and soul of this universe. And there are innumerable universes for which the sun god is the life and soul. Just as the supreme personality of God is the life and soul of the entire being. We have information that Vairaja, Hiranyagarbha, entered the great dull material globe called the sun. This indicates that the theory held by the so-called scientists that no one lives there is wrong. Bhagavad Gita also says that Krishna finally instructed Bhagavad Gita to the sun god because Smriti Yoga Proktamana. Therefore, the sun is not vacant. It is inhabited by the living entities. The predominating deity is Vairajana or Vibhisman. The difference between the sun and the earth, the sun is a fiery planet, but everyone there has a suitable body and can live there without disease. The Science of Bhaktivedanta purports in the fifth canto, 28th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Study Scripture. Yes. So here, as Prabhupada explained, because the sun god is coming from Lord Brahma and sun god are giving the same kind of nomenclature, or the same kind of matter. So what is being addressed for one applies for the other. Because Brahma is the source of sun god. Srila Prabhupada does explain, emphasizing the Vedic mandate that, that the living entity, the Jiva is Sarvagataha everywhere. It came from the sun also. But their bodies are suitably adapted. Prabhupada explains that the residents of the sun planet, their bodies have fire as the main element of the body. Just like our body has earth as the main element. The main outer element is the earth. So inside is 70% water, but the main shell is made up of earth. Similarly, the sun, the main shell will be made up of fire. So for them, staying there will not be a problem. Okay, so we'll start the 21st chapter. It's entitled as the movements of the sun. Sri Shutobhaj. एकमाने बालस्य सन्निवेश प्रमाण लक्षणं को व्याख्याता एकमाने My dear king, I have thus far described the diameter of the universe, 3 crore yojanas or 4 billion miles. And general characteristics, according to the estimations of the learned scholars. एतेन हि दिवमण्डलम् तद्वेद उपदिशन्ति यतः द्विदलयोर्निष्पावदीनं ते अन्तरेण तरिक्ष तदुभया संहितम् as a grain of wheat is divided into two parts, and one can estimate the size of the upper part by knowing that the lower. So expert geographers instruct that one can understand the measurements of the upper part of the universe by knowing those of the lower part. So the sky between the earthly sphere and the heavenly sphere is called as Antariksha or outer space. It adjoins the top of the sphere of the earth and the bottom of that of the earth. In a similar context, Prabhupada explained that being in this material world, one can understand or get a glimpse of the spiritual world. Because everything which is present in the material world is present in the spiritual world. Only thing is, the material world it is perverted in the spiritual world. And that is where one can understand the observation that why we belong to the spiritual world. Because our hankering is for everything pure. Perversion, we are in pain. We are in pain. Yeah, when we taste the perverted refuse of this material world, then there is a lot of misery we get. So we are not meant for perversion. We are meant for the pure. So material world is the perverted, the spiritual world is the pure, and we are meant for the pure. Because in perverted, we are most miserable. That goes to show we are not meant for this world. The street person. X3. यन्मध्यगतो भगवतां स्तपकं पण्डिस्तपान् आतपेन त्रिलोक दक्षिणा दक्षिणाया वैश्वा स्वप्नपि मन्ये सैकरि समन्नभीर्गभीरारोग्यपरो समानसामि यथा सनानं अभिपद्यमानो मकरदिशो राशिषु आहोरात्राणि दीर्घा परस्पर समनानि विदधाति In the midst of that region, outer space, that is Antariksha, is the most opulent sun, the king of all planets, and emanates heat. Is the most opulent sun, king of all planets, and emanates heat, such as the moon. By the influence of its radiation, the sun heats the universe and maintains its proper order. It also gives light to the living entities of the sea. While passing towards the north, towards the south, or through the equator, in accordance with the order of the Supreme Personality of God, it is said to move slowly, swiftly, or moderately. According to its movements in rising above, going beneath, or passing through the equator, and corresponding coming in touch with various signs of the zodiac created by Makara, days and nights are short, long, or equal. One. Perfect. Lord Brahma says in the Samhita, Yachakshurech Sarita Sadana Brahma, Raja Samasta Suramu Terajeshate, Yasyagnaya Namati Sati, Jatatar Chakro, Govindamadi Purusham Janam. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, under whose control even the sun, which is considered to be the eye of the Lord, rotates within the fixed orbit of eternal time. The sun is the king of all planetary systems and has unlimited potency in heat and light. See, although the sun is being described as Bhagavan, the most powerful, and although it is actually the most powerful planet in the universe, it nonetheless has to carry out the orders of Lord Govinda. Sun god cannot deviate even an inch from the orbit designated to him. Therefore, in every sphere of life, the supreme order of the supreme personality of God is carried out. The entire material nature carries out his orders. Therefore, we foolishly see Therefore, in every sphere of life, the supreme order of the supreme personality of God is carried out. The entire material nature carries out his orders. However, we foolishly see the activities of material nature without understanding the supreme order and the supreme person behind them. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Dakshina Prakriti, material nature carries out the orders of the Lord, and thus everything is maintained in an orderly way. The Prabhupada is emphasizing on this fact that how everything in this material nature is being executed, or the material world is being executed by the order of the Supreme Personality. The Prabhupada is explaining that every planet is given an orbit, they do not budge from their orbit. It is the Supreme Lord who is arranging all that. So, because material nature perfectly follows the order of the Supreme Lord, therefore we see material nature is functioning. Whenever mankind goes away from the order of the Supreme Lord, everything disintegrates. So, to upkeep anything in life, what is required is to sincerely follow the orders of the Supreme Personality of God. That is the ultimate goal. If we don't, everything will disappear. Speak for it. Yes. I don't know whether it is mentioned that the universe is forever expanding. Forever. The universe expands because the bubbles expand. But do they expand forever? I don't know whether it is but no, the ending of the universe will be in a moment. So, according to my understanding, the universe only expands in the time of creation. After that, it is not expanding. And only when the dissolution takes place, when the universe is so the body will. The universe is constantly expanding forever. I don't know. Doesn't seem to be. Unless there is a clear reference in Bhagavad. Yes. वो कुछ लाइट्स लाइट की बात बोलते हो बट वो जो हम लोग के बियॉन्ड से फोर वाला लाइट है तो वहां से तो लाइट जा ही नहीं सकती हम लोग वही बोलते हैं कुछ ब्लू लाइट रहता है कुछ बेसिकली बोलते हैं कि यूनिवर्सल एक्सपेंडिंग बट वो लोगों लोग नाउ की बियॉन्ड ड्रीम्स है so don't light जा ही नहीं सकती. Yes. So modern science is limited in its understanding of the universe, quite blind and inaccurate in its understanding of the universe. So therefore, what reference they are taking and what they are But essentially, we have this in the darkness. That's what. So, now I don't know. You can check out. Is there any specific one which says that the universe is forever expanding? Universe expands, they come out from the board of our, they expand to some time. It doesn't expand forever. I don't know. So if the Shastras are mentioning it, so they don't mention it, so we don't know. Sorry. It's a good point. We will have a difference. Yes, we should go on about media development. Electron ಬಂದು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. Electron ಬಂದು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. I forgot to tell him yesterday, you can take on this spot, whatever you can. Universe, the term universe because size of solar system is so much bigger. So, no, this universe is the Dharma. It is explained here that Loka is containing everything. Its radius is 2 billion miles. After that, it's 2 billion miles. So the what we call it as universe. After that is Aloka. So the whole thing is 4 billion miles radius, 8 billion miles. The universe can be within Luka or the universe can be the whole. So 2 billion miles the sun from the shell of the universe. That is what is explained here. That's what is explained here. 1 billion is this Luka, and 1 billion is like that, and 2 billion is the sun. So this is 2 billion into 2, this is 4 billion. So what is called as universe is because after Aloka there is Brahmajyoti. That is what is being described. So that's how the radius of the universe is being described. This is very much. What? It is very insignificant in terms of the solar systems. But then solar system side, like trillions, 20 trillion. Who says solar system is trillion? Current physics say or currently. This our solar system trillion miles. Some 20 trillion. So we don't know what reference they are talking about like that. See, to be able to comment on it, yeah, so I don't have much knowledge about this cosmology. It's not my research area. If you want to speak about mind and consciousness, I can explain. No? So So to be able to compare anything, we need to have thorough knowledge of what the scientists are saying, thorough knowledge of what Bhagavatam is saying, and in its totality with the references of acharyas, and then one can compare and explain. There are some devotees like our institute who are doing research, PhD into this, and last 10 years they are 10, 15 years they are into this. Probably they will be able to better talk about it. But one thing is modern day physicists simply resort to guesswork. Simply resort to guesswork, now blind guesswork, which is uh, an unprepared fellow giving an exam, that is what they are doing. And then on the basis of imagination, they are conditioned. They have absolute zero knowledge of where the causal factors behind the universe has been. So they don't have the authority to speak anything about it. They can call it as fiction. They call it as physics. That is unfortunate. You can call it a story, bedtime stories for children, because it is nothing more than fiction. But unfortunately, they call it as not the reality, the parameter of reality. So that's cheating. That is the proper strong things. They don't have authority to speak about the universe. What do they know about the universe? Next. See, to be able to understand what these people are talking about, just the result is not enough. We have to go back into the history, how they have come up with this. Okay, what is the first publication, and then what methodology they have used, and on what they have created and come up. Then we'll be able to understand what reference they are taking from. Here we can learn from Bhagavatam's reference point. See, Bhagavatam is talking about the so anyways, what is being described here is just a planetary system that spans 4 billion miles. That's being explained here. So the reference you have to be very clear about. 4 billion is the planetary systems, 2 billion miles. And then 2 billion miles from there to the sun. And the sun is well within the stem of the lotus. So the sun is just between the moon and the mover loka, the middle of it vertically. It is. That's what is being described. So this is all within the stem of the lotus of the lotus flower. So that reference has to be understood. Just within the stem of the lotus. The anda, the Brahmanda, which is described, which has these 8 layers, that is very big, bigger than this. It's obviously bigger than this. Brahmanda. So this is the planetary system, span of the planetary system. The distance from us to the sun is 4 billion miles. That is what this calculation is saying. And the expanse of so the expanse of the planetary system is 2 billion miles radian, 4 billion, 2 billion miles. That means there is no habitation outside of it because that is antariksha. We call it as outer space. But what is that outer space? That outer space is just the space. It is all within the stem of the universe. So from there to sun, and then sun to the actual layer of the lotus, how much it is known. That's what explained. The major part of the Brahmanda is beyond the lotus. The lotus only occupies a small portion. Half the portion is the ocean. Karuna Krishi. Half the portion is spread to the other. So we need to be very specific about references here. And therefore, unless we speak references, we will not make any sense. A reference methodology by which the understanding is being understanding is being. So when it comes to modern science, I feel more important is to understand how they infer what they. There is standard not standard and world of models. Then reference is not. So how they infer what they. यदा मेष तुर्यो वर्तते सातापो दात्नं शमनं विमन् यदा वृषभान् वञ्चति चराशि चरति पदमानि वर्धन्ते पश्यति च मासि मासि एकैक घटितरत्रिषु So just like any living being can claim any tract of land to be his own, but who is the owner of what portion of the land? Only the government records can tell. Similarly, anybody can claim anything to be anything. But we have to refer to the government record. That is all. What is actually what? That's very different. When the sun passes to Mesha, Aries, and Tula, and Libra, the duration of the day and night are equal when it passes through the five signs headed by Vrishabha, Taurus. The duration of the day increases until Cancer, and then it gradually decreases by half an hour each month until day and night again become equal in Libra. 4. Next 5. यदा वृश्चिकं पञ्चसु वर्तते ततः रात्रा विपर्यया भवन्ति. When the sun passes through the five signs beginning with Vrishchika, Scorpio, the duration of the day decreases until Capricorn. And gradually it decreases month after month until day and night become equal to Aries. It is the month of April. Yeah, so these constellations are actually distributed physically, and the sun is moving around the Loka cell. The sun is moving around. The sun goes 360 degrees. Because the sun is moving around 360 degrees, therefore the amount of light we are getting day and night. So basically, these rashis are a description of the coordinates of where the rotatory coordinates of where the sun is. So if we say r theta phi, it is simply talking about theta, where exactly the sun is. That's what I understand. Oh, that is also the D teacher. या भद्दक्षिणाय अहनि वर्धन्ते या उदागायनं रात्रयः until the sun travels to the south, the day grows longer, and until it travels to the north, the night grows longer. Yeah, that is exactly what is happening. Excellent. एवं नानुपूर्णाय पञ्चचाशलक्षणी योजना मनसोत्तराय परिवर्तनास्योपनिषत् तस्मिन् पूर्वस्मात् देवात्मा नाम दक्षिणातो यामय सम् नाम पश्चात् वारुणिर्लोचने नाम उत्तर सौम्य विभावरी नाम दाशोदय मध्यास्तमाय निषधानि भूतानां प्रवृत्ति निमित्तानि समा विशेषे मंत्रिरोश्चतुर्दिशा. Sukadeva Goswami continued and he came as stated before. The learned say that the sun travels over all sides of Manasottara mountain in a circle whose length is 0.6 billion, 0.76 billion miles. Well, the sun is not our local also, it is over Manasutra. Manasutra is very inside. Manasutra is very inside. Manasutra is not local also, it's halfway inside. It's 90.7 billion. The local is 2 billion. 1 billion. 1 billion. 0.76. Manasutra is inside. Manasutra was the last planet, I think. Manasutra is the last one. What was the last one? Lakshadweep. The beginning of the last one, actually. Lakshadweep. And after that, there was this. After that, there was this metallic golden ground, which where nobody inhabits. It's a huge area, and after that, Loka comes. So before that, Manasutra is the last planet, the last region of that is where Manasutra comes. So it's 0.76, whereas 1 billion. It's at 3/4 three, four. So that golden track of land is also shining, then local. So and that radius is also huge. On Manasatra mountain, due east of Mount Sumeru, is a place known as Devadhani, possessed by King Indra. Similarly, in the south is a place known as Samyamani, possessed by Yamaraj. In the west there is a place known as Nimlochani, possessed by Varuna. And in the north there is a place called Vibhavari, possessed by the moon god. Sunrise, midday, sunset, midnight. Occur in all those places according to specific timings. Thus, engaging all living entities in their various occupational duties and also making them cease such duties. So, Manasutra, all these, so Indra, Maharajendra, Yamaraj, Varuna, and Moon gods. So, they have the residence there. So, like we have Rajdhani, Maharaj is a Devdhani. And here they open to Devdhani. Maybe come here again. We are waiting. Devdhani. Porque Maganath is a Vedanta. Bhavani is a Bhavani is a Bhavani sister. Alam okay, Bhavani sister. Bhavani Yamaraj Yamaraj can you get something? Behave yourself. तत्राद्यां दिविषा मध्यान् पतन्ति एव सा सागाद्यास्तपति सव्येनाचलं दक्षिणे करोति यत्रोदेति तस्य समान सूत्रनिपटे निर्लोचति यत्र च स्वदेन इदमपि तस्य ऐष समान सूत्रनिपते स्वापयति तत्र गतं न पश्यन्ति ये समानिपश्येन. The living entities residing on the similar mountain are always very warm, as at midday, because for them the sun is always overhead. Although the sun moves counterclockwise, facing the constellations, with Sumeru mountain on the left, it also moves clockwise and appears to have the mountain on the right, because it is influenced by the Dakshinavarta wind. People living in countries at poles diametrically opposite where the sun is first seen rising will see the sun setting. And if a straight line were drawn from the point where the sun is at midday, the people in countries at the opposite end of the line would be experiencing midnight. Similarly, if people residing where the sun is setting were to go to countries diametrically opposite, they would not see the sun in the same condition. Sanskrit is written as Sayyam. Sayyam. It is Sayyam. Yeah, so the living entities in Sumeru are always warm. And Yamaraj is teaching us to be Sayyam. No, this is basically talking about the reference system. So actually the sun is moving counterclockwise. Sumeru on the left, but when we are seeing And from one point we see one direction, other point we will see the other direction. That's how that is being spoken.
This one is we're talking about the globe because like we are sitting here and if you go to the opposite place, then it's Tokyo. It will be one globe.
Next, so he's saying that the sun is moving, appears to be moving, also appears to move clockwise. So from one side the reference you will see it is moving counterclockwise, the other side the reference you will see it is clockwise. That's what it means. The mountain on the right, because it is influenced by. So it all depends on what reference we are seeing. You're seeing without the outside of everything, then it will be counterclockwise. Always. But you're seeing from another reference, then
I realize the concept of these parts is very
yeah, sure. यदा चन्द्रय भूयः प्रचलते पञ्चदशाधिकभिः यं यं सपादकोटिद्वयं योजना शारदा द्वादशादक्षाणि साधिकान् मिलति. When the sun travels from Devadhani to Samyamani, it travels 0.2 billion miles. It's 6 hours. The distance indicated by the word Sadhikani is Pancha Vimsati. Sahasradhikani, 25,000. Pancha Vimshati Sahasradhikani, 25,000 yoginas. That plus 2.5 crores and 12.5 lakhs of yoginas is the distance the sun travels in each of the two cities. This comes to 0.19 billion miles. The total orbit of the sun is 4 times 6 into 4 is 24. Yeah, so how does the So it is interesting to see how does the movements of the sun correlate with the rotation revolution of the earth, what we keep learning in geography. That's an interesting subject matter to meditate upon. Huh? So how do the two correlate? But here there are clearly we can see two types of motion of the sun. One is equivalent, there are two types of motion of the sun. When the motion of Manasutra has been talking about, then it's a day and night sequence, which has been talked about. And when the the nakshatras are being talked about, then it is the seasons which are being talked about. Therefore, Prabhupada mentioned one thing that any model of Vedic cosmology which we make. So now what is there is that the problem with the modeling of Vedic cosmology is what the full details are not there because this is not a cosmology scripture. This is a Bhagavad. No? So there is just reference and mention that a little bit reference is there to just highlight the aspect of that how the Lord is so glorious. Now from those references here and there, it's like there are some dots here, some dots there. The whole picture the devotees have to make on their own, which is again inferencing. The Prabhupada said any such inferencing model should explain the day and night, the seasons, should be able to explain the day and night phenomena, the seasons, the change of the seasons. One more thing Prabhupada said, three things any cosmology model should be able to explain. So from the perspective of Earth, we will say revolution, rotation, but this from the perspective of the sun is moving. How does it correlate with an interesting phenomenon? Evam tato parunem somyam aindrim chapunashi tathanyi grihaso manayo nakshatre sahajotischandre samam yudhyanti sahavane lujanti. From the residence of Yamaraj, the sun travels to Niklojani, the residence of Varuna, from there to Vibhavari, the residence of Moon God, from there again to the residence of in a similar way, the moon, along with other stars and planets,
They are planning to safety,
similarly, the moon becomes visible in the celestial sphere, then sets and again becomes invisible. In Bhagavad Gita 10.21, Lord Krishna says, Nakshatra Namaham Shashi, of all the stars and the moon. This indicates that the moon is similar to other stars. The Vedic literature informs us that within this universe there is one sun which is moving. The Western theory that all the luminaries of the sky are different suns is not confirmed in the Vedic literature. So all the luminaries are not suns. There's only one sun in the universe. So the moon is similar to other stars. Yeah. Nor can we assume that these luminaries are the suns of other universes because each universe is covered by layers of material energy. So therefore, all the universes are clustered together We cannot see one universe to another from one universe. In other words, whatever we see is within one universe. In each universe, there is Lord Brahma, and there are other demigods on other planets, but there is only one sun. So the moon is a star. Yeah. uh, and from modern geographical understanding, also we say moon is a star. I mean, moon is not a luminary. It reflects the light of the sun. But
It's they can't help.
but the idea which is spoken is that the stars are luminaries. Which is not supported in the universe. Stars cannot be.
हमने क्या पढ़ा हमने का सूर्य के प्रकाश मिलता है लेकिन भगवत गीता कहती है परिमाण अपना प्रकाश है और इसी से रात्रि के समय को फल सकते हो कोई रस पदार्थ
So that Prabhupada explained that before that moon. Uh, no, probably it's different entities what are being referred.
but still thing है moon के कौन
Yeah. But here moon is one of the stars.
मतलब moon के पास अपना नहीं है
The stars are not luminaries. Nakshatra Namamshi of the stars and the moon. The moon is similar to other stars. Because this moon and that moon are seen to be another two different. Stars are not luminaries. Modern day cosmology says they are luminaries. But Vedas clearly write this universe there is only one sun which is moving. There are very few luminaries in the universe. So
but they don't take moon as star that's different
they don't take moon and star. They take it as satellite. They call it as satellite, natural satellite. But here moon is taken as a star. Nakshatrana. So this moon and the luminary moon might be two different entities.
that's where the landing might be totally different.
But this moon is the star. Nakshatrana Shashi. So what's Shashi? With proper explain, he read that Kushagra's philosophy, that how Kushagra's light can be very cooling. The moon planet is having that cooling influence. It's a light source, and so then it is there also to mention there are very few luminaries in the universe. Sun is a luminary, definitely. But what does it mean then? Nakshatrana Shashi. So if moon is a luminary, how does a star also? So is there any correlation? Is it two different entities which are being described by the same name, or is the Kushagra's light the moon is radiating has some correlation or derivation also from the sunlight? So probably it's Kushagra's plus reflection of sunlight and a combination of that which is being coming. And that is why it is being categorized as a star also. That is something that's an interesting another subject matter to ponder about. Uh, it is when the sun god is running around the Manasutra, doing Parikrama of the Manasutra.
My months Because they are in same university or विभाग में सब लोग जल्दी जा रहे हैं तो सर आपको क्वेश्चन में होता है पूरा में होता है पूरा को ईशान दिशा में होता है
Yeah, so those are that is for the reference point as given to these four residences. So that's about, and when the other motion was being talked about, now this motion, this is only a result which is presented. Now whether this motion is, I mean the whole thing has a contribution only from the motion of the sun, only from the motion of earth, or a combination of the motion of both, that is something to ponder about. Those details are not mentioned. That one may have to, that at times one may have to do some inference. So, yes. Okay, so let's stop here for today. We'll continue again the movements of the sun in our next class. There you go. Convention.